What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And as you can see, once again, I'm joined here by the Big Rob Theory once again. And today we're going to be talking about The Witcher season... What the fuck was that? We're going to be talking about The Witcher Season 3 Part 1. Following suit with other things that Netflix has been doing recently, I think the last thing I watched that they released like this was Stranger Things. Honestly, the last season, I think it was Stranger Things Season 4. Yeah. That they released the season in 2 parts. So they announced with this season of The Witcher, that is Henry Cavill's final season playing the character of Geralt, which breaks my heart. And the fact that Liam Hemsworth is going to come into this show in the next season is just really strange to me. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the first part of Season 3, and then later in July, I believe July 27th is when the last part of Season 3 airs. And this season's been out, or this first part of the season's been out for a little over a week now. And we eventually got to it. We've been sitting on it a few days, kind of wanted to let our opinions kind of sit with us. And yeah, so we've covered the first 2 seasons together, and we enjoyed both seasons a lot. I think we can both say that The Witcher so far has been a good time for us. We played the video game, so we are a fan enough. We haven't read the books or anything like that, but we are aware of the world. And then they made that Witcher Blood Origin, I think that's what it's called, like prequel series that was on its own. It had its own characters.
Trash.
And it was not good. I did a video here on my channel alone. Robert did a video alone on his channel. We both had a lot to say about that season. It was like a prequel series that has nothing to do or doesn't have any of the characters from the main Witcher series in it. It was kind of like the origins of the Witchers. And it was a really cool premise, but man, the writing in that show was just not for us at all. We did not enjoy it whatsoever. We saw that it had a low score before we watched it, and we were just heartbroken to find out that we really didn't enjoy it. And here we are now with the 3rd season, or part 1 of the 3rd season of The Witcher. And I'll just be honest in saying that right out of the gate, I didn't love this first part of the season. Now, there are some big positives I want to talk about that we will definitely get into. But I will start this off by saying that as somebody who was a real big fan of the first 2 seasons of The Witcher, I was a little disappointed with part 1 of Season 3. What are your thoughts on Season 3 so far?
To be honest with you, I really am torn because, as he said, the first 2 seasons, immaculate. The writing was beautiful. The score is amazing. The chemistry with all the actors and actresses, not just Henry Cavill and Anya Shalatra, who plays Yennefer, not just them, and even Freya Allen, who plays Ciri. That the chemistry between her and Henry Cavill, amazing, almost flawless. Same thing with Anya Shalatra, just in different ways. With Ciri and Henry Cavill, obviously you have more of a fatherly daughter kind of relationship, and then Anya Shalatra and Henry Cavill have this superior dynamic that I have rarely seen in movies and TV shows. And I mean, you can tell that even off screen, they may not have like romance, but they must be like really good friends or something.
Right. They have really good chemistry.
They have amazing chemistry. Like it's almost flawless. And I just kept thinking, I kept saying to Anthony and Haley, like I kept thinking about Liam Hemsworth coming in and trying to have the same chemistry with these 2, and honestly, it's just impossible. I'm not saying that he can't do a good job, because, there's things that he's been in that I still wasn't a fan of him in, and he still wasn't great in, but I still have hope, and I'm still being positive, so I think that he can come in and do something, but in regards to that, the chemistry, it's not going to be there. We see these things that people say, oh, we watch this for the plot, and the plot is, a really attractive woman.
We watch this for the plot.
Yeah, we watch it for
the plot.
We
watch this for the plot. The plot.
Yes, amen, brother, amen. And to be honest, it's not even just because she is just drop dead gorgeous. It's honestly, she is encapsulating as an actress. Like, you just look in her eyes when there's certain things happening, and she tells a lot through her eyes. And she's a good actress too. And the plot is is her. Sorry, but yeah. Overall, I just man, it was just so hard to get into this. It was hard to get into this because what's going on? Why are we doing this? Who's uniting with who? And why are we fighting them? And are these people that you keep mentioning in every episode? Oh, that's those people, but where'd they come from? Who is that? Why do we have these people singing randomly? What is happening here? Bro, it just didn't fly with me at all.
So, as you can tell, we didn't love the season. And I don't want to touch on any spoilers here because the season hasn't been out for long. And most people that we've individually spoken to haven't even gotten around to it, even people who were fans of the first 2 seasons. And so, what I'll start this off by saying is kind of like you were saying, the casting is really strong in this show. And I think similarly, the biggest positives to take away from this season thus far, really strong acting, great costume design, great set design, locations used, cinematography. The VFX at times were a little bit cartoonier than I remember. There was a couple times where they had some CG monsters that didn't look as good, I feel, as in previous seasons. But I think it still looked pretty good. Overall, the production value of the show is pretty fantastic. It looks great. It sounds great. That score is great. There's moments that do give you those chills if you're a big fan of fantasy and action and visuals and different things like that. Unfortunately, that's about where it ends because while I found every episode in this first part of the season thus far to be incredibly well acted, and there's beautiful moments between certain characters that we've been following up to this point, some epic moments of action, and some moments that definitely have you like, all right, cool, the story's starting to pick up. I just found myself at the end of each episode thinking, I just didn't feel like enough happened in that episode. I felt like we were bouncing around to a bunch of different characters that all had a bunch of different motives, that were all in a bunch of different places. And one of my criticisms of previous seasons has been the fact that sometimes the dialogue can be overly dense. And listen, we both love fantasy, sci-fi, it's our favorite genres. Star Wars is my favorite thing, and part of what I love about it is the fact that the characters speak in universe, use terms, and talk about things casually as if you live in that universe, and it's not something you can just grasp upon first viewing. But, you know, having watched a decent chunk of hours worth of The Witcher at this point, there's still times with the very dense dialogue that I often feel like it's just showy dialogue for the sense of showy dialogue, less so than something that feels like it's really moving the story forward. So you had so many episodes in the season so far, and there was 5 episodes in this first part, that often felt like they were just kind of just dialogue heavy that didn't really feel like they were pushing everything forward. There were so many scenes that I kept thinking, what was the purpose of that scene? Like, what were those 2 people even really talking about? And then you'd go somewhere and somebody would be talking about something that was going to push the narrative forward. But then it just felt like it didn't all come together. The final episode kind of has all the storylines converge, but there were so many elements that I just kind of thought to myself, this doesn't really feel like it needs to be here. And like he was mentioning, and like we were talking about, Liam Hemsworth has been cast to play Geralt to replace Henry Cavill because Henry Cavill is leaving the show due to the writers and the executives moving away from the source material, which he's a huge fan of, and the writing not being in the direction that he really would like for it to go in. And the fact that he's leaving the role altogether because of this, I mean, just based on the writing in this season, if it's anything that's kind of indicative of what he was worried about moving forward, I can't say I blame him. The writing just hasn't been nearly as compelling or exciting or fun to watch. There's just been a lot of the episodes that I'm just sitting there going like, okay, like this is just what we're spending time on. These characters talking about this, talking about that, you know, some of it comes together near the end, but some of it doesn't, you know, and some of it just feels like, what were we even talking about? And there are things that I genuinely just feel because of how dense the dialogue was sometimes and all the various characters and storylines that are going on, that by the time that July 27th or whatever comes out, I'm going to have forgotten or not care about some of these storylines. You know, I feel like this was not the kind of show to split up into 2 seasons, because if the show does come together by the time season 3 is over, I'm going to have weeks now detached from the story and the characters and the small moments of dialogue that I'm just not going to really feel that payoff for. I don't know, but what do you feel? I guess tell me what you felt was a positive of this season so far, and then, you know, continue your thoughts.
To be honest, the main positive, which is probably let me be objective here. Henry Cavill is obviously one of the most positive things about this series, is his portrayal as Geralt. Like, he is just phenomenal in the role. absolutely 100% phenomenal in the role. And then I guess there's some other slight positives. The action was really good sometimes. The majority of the time, the action was pretty good. There are some good character development moments of the main people that I'll say is good. Like with in regards to the main three, Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. There's some great character moments with them.
Right. And it's also really great to see Jaskier, played by Joey Beatty, once again, who was kind of annoying in the first season, but grows on you. And it was kind of like you were saying, the core set of people.
And even
They're
so,
great.
Jaskier sometimes in this this season, at times it was a little off. The things, what I'm talking about. And
I just think they didn't give everybody the best things to do.
Yeah, especially him. I feel like we could have given him so much better things to do.
Right.
And even in previous seasons, he had the same character, same mannerisms, same kind of way of speaking, but he was more interesting because he had certain things to do because he was mainly with Geralt and the crew. Right. And I think that, what they did with him was kind of diminishing of his character, but it's all good. Yeah, like I said, the main things are Geralt, Henry Cavill, the action, and I would say the story revolving Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. But again, this is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not gonna say much about that. But you know what I'm talking about, man. It's just
there were some story choices
so
that just made no sense, right? Yeah. In the first episode, the inciting incident, so we won't touch on spoilers on the season, but the second season ends, I guess if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you've at least seen the first two seasons. Okay? You must care about The Witcher to some degree if you're watching this. At the end of season 2, they set up the prospect that Ciri, played by Freya Allen, is going to become a Witcher. And she's being trained in the arts of being a Witcher by Geralt and in the arts of magic by Yennefer. Two great teachers who have a romance, which I would say the best part of this entire season so far has been that romance between Geralt and Yennefer, without a doubt. 100%. Like, for sure, the main thing that I find myself invested in. But this whole season was kind of predicated on the idea, and even the poster has Ciri dead center looking like a Witcher, which she very well could fully become a Witcher by the end of the season. But the whole season was predicated on the idea that she was going to be getting trained. And the very beginning of the season finds them kind of in hiding. Anytime they see any human or anybody even near them in their hideout, even if it's just villagers passing by, they move. They go to a new location. They want to be safe. And so Geralt and Yennefer are playing no games. And very shortly into the season, they have to separate for a specific reason. And the exciting incident that causes this separation just didn't make sense for me character-wise. It just felt like lazy writing, and that's just my biggest struggle with this season thus far. I just felt there was too many moments in the story that felt very overly convenient, that didn't make sense. And then meanwhile, while I have those gripes about the just core normal like story that's going on, there was unfortunately just a lot of mumbo jumbo of just random storylines that ultimately just didn't really do much for me. And so all that to say, for me, The Witcher Season 3 Part 1 so far, lackluster. Incredibly performed, incredibly well put together on a production value side of things, but narratively just I can't say that I'm like clamoring for part 2 of this season the same way I was with like Stranger Things Season 4, where that season Part 1 ended and I could not wait to see Part 2, Anyway, and any wrapping up thoughts on your end?
No, man, I was gonna say everybody anticipated that with Stranger Things. Like, the first part made a lot of sense. It built up to something, and we were like, "What is happening here?" So when Part 2 came out, we were all just ecstatic, and it paid off big time, big time.
Right.
Final thoughts. I hope that somehow, some way, this second part makes this first part seem worth it. Like it's kind of like with certain movies, the like later things that happen, you go back and you're like, damn, okay, I didn't think about it like that. oh wow, that happened like that there. So then you rewatch that and you have a better appreciation for it.
Right.
I want that to happen. I want it to happen because I love The Witcher. I love The Witcher so much. So we were so excited to watch this, and we sat through one day and just watched majority of them except for the last episode.
Yeah, we watched the 4 hours straight of the season, and then the next morning we finished the final episode. Just because after 4 hours, we were just like, we don't even care to watch the final episode right now because just we were getting more and more bored with each episode we were watching, which just broke our heart, really.
Yeah, it was sad. So all this to say, Witcher season 3 so far not great at all, and I'm eagerly hoping that part 2 comes in and it just smacks us and we're like, oh hell yeah.
I really hope so. I really hope so. And I just don't know how they're going to handle this transition from Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth.
It's not going to be good.
There's just two wildly different actors, you know. I think Henry Cavill is a substantially better actor. I've seen Liam Hemsworth in plenty of things, and he's fine. Like, I've never been like, this dude is terrible.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have what Henry Cavill has. You know, there's the mannerisms, the nuances in his facial performance, the really, really deep, sultry voice that Henry Cavill's capable of doing that I'm not sure this guy's going to be able to do. I mean, who knows? Liam Hemsworth could come out here sounding like Darth Vader, but I really don't see that super deep tone coming out of him. I wish we could sit here and tell you more positive things. Again, we've done reviews together here on the channel for seasons 1 and season 2, and you can see us talking very positively about both seasons. This, for me, had more The Witcher Blood Origin energy, which is unfortunate, which is really unfortunate. So, the Big Rob Theory, link to him is down below in the description box. We actually just recently did a video here on my channel for Tomorrowland, a Disney film that so far is doing terrible on the channel. So if you want to support us, you can go watch that video so that it doesn't make me want to jump out of a balcony and the third floor window and fall to my demise.
Spikes.
Right. Mortal Kombat style. Anyway, so a big thanks to Rob for joining me here in this video. You guys can always expect more reviews and videos here on the channel. Anything you want to plug on your channel, my friend?
Again, just working on the Flash spoiler video. I know it's been a while since I posted, but gonna get that up. And then a couple stories because there's some things that have happened in life that, you know, I think deserves a storytelling, you know? I think it deserves some storytelling. So get some story time with Robbie videos going. But other than that, you know, same nerdy stuff, man. Just support the nerds.
Yeah, well, big thanks to you guys for watching. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. And definitely let us know what you thought down below. If you were a fan of this season so far, let us know why. Leave any and all comments down below. I would love to hear some different takes on this. We really wanted to love this season, but unfortunately we didn't. And so I can't wait to hear what people have to say. But if you agree with us as well, if you felt the writing was a little bit off, leave some comments about that. And how do you guys feel about the transition from Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth? I'm sure there are a lot of people with a lot of opinions. I've seen a lot of it online so far, but I want to hear from you guys and knowing what you guys think about that transition. So a big thanks to you guys. Hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Bye-bye.